This is it, guys. This is our last chance. At least our last chance to extend the series. Let's get the rally going, man. Let's hold hands. Positive vibes tonight. Let's be optimistic. It is do or die, win or go home tonight for your Miami Heat. Oh, it is. It is a Friday episode. That's the good news. It's Friday. The good news is you're going to have your happy hour going on tonight. What are you drinking tonight? Jaeger bombs, Irish car bombs, sake bombs. What kind of bombs are we drinking tonight, guys? Oh, I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I am excited for game 6 tonight. Wow, apparently I'm not bringing enough energy, or I'm not bringing the right kind of energy. Oh man. And this is maybe they're not talking about me. They're just talking about the general public. Everyone seems depressed about it. So, all right, here's the situation. First of all, I am Alex Donno. Hello, welcome into Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Guys, make sure before we go any further, so we're gonna have some fun today, right? Despite the circumstances of, I don't know, the attitude around the country, people are talking as if the Heat are going to their own funeral tonight. That's the attitude. But guys, don't let that dissuade you from smashing the like button. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button here on this video, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5 Reasons Sports. So hit those like buttons, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. Now, as far as everyone seeming depressed about it, it's not only that. Obviously, as a Miami Heat fan, I want them to win tonight. I want them to extend the series. I want the fun to keep going on. I want to get to the NBA Finals. Um, I'm watching television this morning. Okay, I'm flipping around ESPN, Fox Sports One. You got First Take on and Undisputed. Sometimes I feel like they cheat off of each other's papers, those shows. Like maybe Skip Bayless and Stephen A, maybe they're friends still, like they're pen pals, and they trade like, hey, I'm going to talk about this on my show. You should talk about this on your show as well. Like they're still tight from the First Take days because they use a lot of the same topics. And on both of those shows today, they had this debate about how the NBA Finals is going to play out between the Golden State Warriors and Boston Celtics. In their mind, it's a foregone conclusion, right? Like they're already, even before elimination, even before we have an Eastern Conference champion, they're already having debates on sports shows about how the Celtics are going to do and whether or not they can beat the Golden State Warriors. And a lot of those panelists that they talked about and talked to today thought, yeah, the Celtics, I think they can win the title this year. They're going to beat Golden State. Like, can we at least let them actually get to Golden State first? So yeah, listen, the way Boston won the last couple games in this series, the way that they just, for the second time this series, took home court advantage away from the Miami Heat, that's a factor why, yeah, I can understand why there are people talking about it like it's a foregone conclusion that Boston is in. Then from the Heat side of it, this is what takes a lot of my optimism away. Our team is literally broken, right? Like, I don't mean figuratively, like they hate each other or there's no chemistry. No, like they are literally injured and broken. Everybody's on the injury list, except surprisingly, Jimmy Butler is like not even questionable when he's like one of the most hurt guys we have, right? Like Tyler Herro's going to need an injection just to be able to play tonight. He's got the groin issue. Kyle Lowry, 36 years old. He might as well be 56 with the way he's been banged up and the way that he's been playing. Health-wise, the Miami Heat are in a really, really, really tough spot. Right? Have we all seen that video by now? Let me see if I can pull that up to play it for my audience here. Hold on. The video that Will Manso tweeted out. So let me describe it first, just in case I can't find it right away. So this was taken yesterday. when the Heat, after flying to Boston, they take a bus from Logan Airport to whatever hotel they're staying at in Boston, and then Will Manzo takes a video of the Heat getting off that bus. They look like the walking wounded. Like, I already knew that most of the team is hurt. I think I found it. I had to scroll through a lot because Will Manso, he tweets a freaking ton, right? I mean, it took me a while to get down through the timeline, but everybody's limping. Hold on, let me see if I could share the screen real quick. Like, everybody getting out of that bus is limping. Hold on, I think you guys can probably hear this as well. Let's watch this together. Jimmy looking walking a little gingerly there. Oh my God, Kyle Lowry. I don't even know if I should be laughing at this because this is my team. They're all limping. Like, I shouldn't be laughing at this because this is the team that I root for and the team that I need to win or their playoffs are over tonight. But it's a little funny. Like, even the trainers are limping, I think. Jeez. Oladipo looks good, though. How ironic is it that Victor Oladipo might be the healthiest guy on the team right now? That is the definition of irony right there. Oh, my God. So that's what I think the video's over. That's what we're up against tonight. And if the Heat are able to win tonight, I'm not going to say it would take a miracle, but it's definitely against the odds, right? It's definitely against the odds to think that the Heat could win tonight. And oh my God, guys, I hadn't looked at the odds until right now. I literally just opened up the betting lines for tonight. Boston are 8.5-point favorites. That's a big number. Now, Brooklyn Rob, tell me, do I have to play? What do I have to play? Boston money line tonight? Is that what I have to play? Do I try for a mush again? Is that what I have to look for? Lowry looks like my grandfather walking down the corridor in the nursing home. It's funny because it's true. BB thought I was exaggerating a little bit. Only Kyle was limping. Calm down. Did I play that up a little bit too much for dramatic effect? The Lowry limp was really bad, though, guys. It was so bad. Oh my God. Yeah, and that's another thing. Limping aside, didn't really look like they wanted to be there. Oh man. If shots aren't falling, they need to drive at will. Thing is, like, Jimmy hasn't looked healthy enough to drive to the basket the last couple games. That's the crazy thing. Like, yeah, I heard, and Ethan Skolnick is going to join us in a few minutes, and I think our guy Big John Stud is going to join us a little bit later on this episode. But Ethan's going to be on with us in a few, and I think it was him that I heard say this on Five on the Floor, or Floor's Yours, or Before Floor, or After Floor, or Floor Don Bailey Flooring. I don't know, something floor. I heard Ethan say this, and he's 100% right. Like, Jimmy would be taking probably multiple weeks off with this injury if this was the regular season, that he's giving it a go because it's the playoffs and there is no tomorrow. If you lose tonight, you're going to have plenty of time to recover, right? So push through some injury, and he's done it the last 2 games as well. Push through injury tonight, and then as long as you're not at some, and he's not, I don't believe, as long as you're not at some massive risk of like making your injury worse. And I think the same thing with Tyler Herro. I think it's more of a pain tolerance issue. Like, they're going to have to inject him with something before the game that's going to last for an hour and a half to 2 hours. They are not allowed to inject him again during the game. You can only inject before. You cannot inject during. So he's going to have to grit and gut through some pain tonight if he does play, and I assume he is going to play. So yeah, these guys are having to push through and fight through injuries that are severe enough that if these were regular season games, they wouldn't be out there. Or if this was a series where, like, you're up 3-1 or something, or you're up 3-0 in a completely different situation, you may sit and take it easy for a game, but they just can't do that. Oh man, Shake Money, My brother from another mother. Thank you so much for the super chat. And welcome back in. He says, long time no see. Good way to end the work week, Donno Daily. He says, by the way, is that R. Kelly's jumpsuit? I don't understand the reference. Are you talking about the shirt that I'm wearing? I don't understand the R. Kelly jump. I mean, I appreciate the money you have donated to the program. I do not understand the R. Kelly jumpsuit reference. The whole team has been mushed, Brooklyn Rob says. Yeah, I told our guy David in the chat that I was gonna try to mush Boston this time, but like, how do I do that? Right? Like, if I were to do a show today where instead of talking about the Miami Heat, I talk about how amazing the Boston Celtics are, how many of you guys would actually understand what I'm doing? Like, I'd be doing a show for two people. I would be doing a show for David and for Brooklyn Rob, and no one else would. They'd be like, wait, I thought this guy was a Heat fan. I thought 5 Reasons Sports was a Miami Heat channel, and this guy is talking about how much he loves the Celtics. I guess it would be worth it if the mush worked, but I would make a lot of you hate me, and a lot of you would not understand. Oh, I understand now. Shake money. It's a R. Kelly jumpsuit. It's a Jim Kelly jersey. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. One of the greatest Pro Football Hall of Famer. I know he was a bridesmaid so many times with all those Super Bowls that he never won. He also he was 1 year too early to win a national championship at the U, because he was out right before Bernie Kosar won the first one in '83. So if nothing else, like Jim Kelly, 1 year too early to win a championship at Miami, could never get through with Buffalo. So I think that's where we're at. But here's like another thing that I think we're being completely reminded of here, and it reminds me of the bubble run from a couple of years ago in this sense. You remember what the Heat were up against in addition to the Los Angeles Lakers when they got to the NBA Finals. The team wasn't healthy. Remember Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, both injured for that final series. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the Heat would have won that series if everybody was healthy. The Lakers very well could have still handled Miami over a 7-game series. They won the series in 6, Los Angeles. Everybody got mad at Pat Riley for talking about and maybe it was just poor choice of words, but he talked about an asterisk, right? Because of Bam and Tyler being unhealthy there. But you got to remember, whether you're talking about winning the NBA Finals or even winning the Eastern Conference Finals, it's not simply the best team that wins it. It's the best, healthiest team that wins it, right? And again, like, I can't guarantee you if the Heat weren't the Walking Dead right now. I think if they were fully healthy or like 90% healthy, I do think they win this series, and it's not over, but I do think the Heat would win this series if they were healthier than they are now, right? I'm not completely counting out Boston because that's a damn good team, but part of making a championship run, making an NBA Finals run, it's not just being the best possible team. It's being the best team that also has a little bit of luck or perseverance, that you don't have half of your team or 2/3 of your team limping the way that the Miami Heat do right now. And yeah, Petty, I'm assuming your team Petty, or maybe your last name is Petty, but I prefer to think your team Petty. He says it's always been about health, 100%. I hope Ethan Skolnick is healthy. Ethan, thank you. Sir, how are you?
I'm healthy enough, I guess. Mentally, maybe not at the moment reading these tweets, but yes, I'm physically, I think my hamstrings are in better shape than Struce's or Lowry's. My knee is not in better shape than Butler's, but I can't lend him that. But yeah, and I'm not going to mention my groin related to Herro, so we'll just leave that one alone.
You know, something I talked earlier about, the national shows, they're already talking about Boston versus Golden State. They're already handicapping the NBA Finals. But then another thing and again, all these shows have the same topics. It's like they communicate and they share topics. I also see it all over the place today, ESPN and Fox Sports 1. Is Jimmy Butler good enough to be the best player on a championship team? Because now everybody they're all shitting on Jimmy now, but it's like, are you forgetting that before he was hurt, he was arguably the best performer in the entire playoffs up to that point? In the last 2 games, he's been so hurt that he wouldn't be playing if this was the regular season. It's like, how do you change the narrative that quickly where he's the best guy in the postseason, gets injured, and now he's not good enough to carry a team?
Because they weren't paying attention when he was the best guy in the postseason. That's the reason.
Yeah, true.
So now this is remember, all narratives stay the same. Okay. So they're not adjusted over time. So essentially the narrative coming in was, let's not pay attention to or cover the Heat because Jimmy Butler's not good enough. He's not a superstar we care about. Right. He's not a superstar at all. So then he plays like one for a while. It's the same thing as the bubble. They cared about who got to the finals in the bubble until it was Miami, because that didn't fit a narrative. That was a 5 seed coming in. Now this was a 1 seed. So even that hasn't helped. And this isn't the bubble. And so even that hasn't helped. And so the Heat are not going to get any favors from the national media. It has gotten to the point where I've kind of stopped paying attention to it. I mean, if I were the Heat, I wouldn't credential ESPN for the finals. I would just say, we're not here, right? Like, go to Cancun. That's what
I would do. Go to Boston. If you thought Boston was going to be in, go to Boston.
Hang on, Boston. Try to find a bar that's open past 12:30. Yeah, I mean, that's the way that I would handle it. They're not quite as petty as I am. I mean, they're aware of the narratives and all that. But I think what you mentioned earlier is kind of the reality here. And we've been through so many of these elimination games with the Heat over the years. And, you try to think, okay, which is this one like? And unfortunately, this one feels to me like 2 that I've covered recently. One is the 2014 finals against the Spurs, and that game 5, where the Heat had just been blown out in games 3 and games 4, and everybody was trying to say that they could rally in game 5. I think what's instructive for tonight, even though he has said he's going to go with the same starting lineup. By the way, if you follow our Off the Floor feed, Greg Sylvander has reported that Tyler Herro is planning to play tonight. That's not information we put out there on Twitter, so that's for viewers of Donno Daily, and also on our Off the Floor feed. We'll see if he can actually do it, but the intention is that he's going to try to play. 11 on the grass. Well, we already got 3 yards per carry. I'm not allowed to do that. That's Alfredo will kill me. So follow 3 yards per carry. But I think when you look at that, it reminds me a little of 14. Of course, that didn't go particularly well. Eric made a change for that game. He took Mario Chalmers, who had been struggling, was going through some personal stuff at the time. And he started Ray Allen instead of him. He played Michael Beasley, and none of that worked. And then the other one that it reminds me a little of the 2011 finals too, but the other one that it reminds me of course, is the 2020 finals in game 6. And I just hope for the Heat's sake it doesn't turn out like that, because I think what you were talking about was, they got to the end and they had nothing left. I mean, in that case, it was Jimmy carrying the rest, but Bam was coming back from injury. Dragic was trying to play through the foot injury.
Oh yeah, it was Dragic. I think I said Tyler. It was Dragic. No, it was Dragic. Bam. That was my mistake. Yeah, it was Dragic and Bam, not Tyler and Bam. My bad.
Yeah, it was Dragic and Bam, and so and then we saw what happened, and Miami got blown off the floor. And I think most people are anticipating that that's going to happen tonight. I think they're going to fight. As we've also reported, if this was the regular season, 5 of their top 6 players would not be playing tonight.
Wow.
Jimmy Butler would not be playing through this knee situation. I'm expecting a press release in about a week or 2 if they don't make the finals, saying Jimmy Butler has had arthroscopic surgery. I think that's where this is headed, on his knee. I've been told that for 2 months before Peyton Pritchard, submarined him. So I think that's where this is going. As far as Herro, he would definitely not be trying to play right now. This is a 2 to 3 week injury. He's kind of caught in between because he wants to help. He wants to redeem himself from the playoffs. He also wants a max extension and all the rest of that stuff. This playoffs has not gone well for him. So he's in there. You look at Lowry. There's no chance Kyle Lowry would be playing the way that he's playing, period. But also, obviously, the injuries. Max Strus has a hamstring injury that has gone under the radar. He's also dealing, if you saw the other night, he had the bruise. He looked like Kurt Schilling with the bloody sock. But it's really the hamstring injury. And then PJ Tucker, he might be playing just because he's PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker should not probably be playing with what he's in the regular season. They might force him to sit down for a couple days. So that's where you're at. Of their top 6 guys, the only guy who's healthy is Bam. And that leads to a whole other conversation because then you need him to take the reins. So I don't look, I picked the Heat in 7. I'm not making excuses for them, but it just looks like they've run out of gas. We will see. But it just looks like they've taken this as far as they can possibly take it. And then if you look at the task, it is daunting. Even if you win tonight, which is unlikely, then you gotta come back together on Sunday. You just lost in your own building. You got to win that one. And then God help you if you end up in the finals against a team that's going to space the floor and spread you out when you're all banged up. Now, you could say by then, Tyler would get, I guess, 3 or 4 days of rest before that series. You want him chasing around Steph Curry. Kyle Lowry, that's not going to heal until the offseason. Jimmy's knee, maybe Strus will be better. Look, it's tough, okay? And I think the unfortunate thing is if you follow the Heat long enough, you know that they run into these kind of things. I mean, we can say, as successful as they've been with, again, the 6 finals and the 3 championships, you can always say, if not for Zoe's kidney, if not for Chris Bosh's blood clots, if not for Goran Dragic's foot injury at the worst possible time, if not for Dwayne Wade's knees during the course of the Big 3 run, if not for Jimmy Butler's knee here, it's part of it. Now, when you're competing for championships, you are going to run into these things more frequently. Some is fluky, like Zoe's situation, like Bosh's situation. But this is what you do. And look, I said this with the Embiid injury, and so I got to be consistent. You build the best team you can.
Yeah.
That's all you do. You build the best team you can. And Milwaukee, you build the best team you can. You don't know that Chris Middleton's going to get hurt. Philadelphia, I don't know if you build the best team you can there, but you do, whatever, you fake it, okay? And then you have Joel Embiid situation. With Miami, it's the same thing. Golden State, they lost Gary Payton, the second, who'd been a big factor for them. He's come back for the finals. They lost James Wiseman for the season. He was supposed to be their primary big. Looney filled in. They went without Klay Thompson for basically 3 seasons. Phoenix is the team that should be embarrassed by itself for itself.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
The way they went out. Oh my gosh.
But Memphis lost John Morant. Look, this stuff happens. I just want to see them compete. And I think even has the current ECF version of the Heat team different from 2020. This is a better team than 2020.
Absolutely.
Much better.
Yeah, much better.
It's just that here's the key difference. Jimmy Butler was healthy. That's it. Because if Jimmy Butler's healthy, they're winning this series. I agree. So, and I heard you say, okay, so I don't think that team was better. I don't think that having Kelly Olynyk right now would be the big difference, or Derek Jones Jr. or Kendrick Nunn or even Goran Dragic. This team is better than that team. But the engine of this team, like it was 2 years ago, remains Jimmy Butler. He's got a wheel broken right now. I'm sorry that they could do this thing because I know he doesn't want to be on the injury report and it's for show and all the rest of that. Everybody else on the team is questionable. Omer Yurtseven is questionable with a hangnail. Jimmy Butler's literally walking around.
He's more hurt than almost anybody else on the team. He's not on the report.
Not on the report. Fine, okay. But I mean, it's obvious, and I've always said this about Jimmy all the time, and somebody quoted me on Twitter about this today. You'll know in the first 5 minutes. You'll know because when he is feeling good, he's above the rim and he's attacking the basket. Yeah. And when he's not, he's standing there, pound, pound, pound. Oh, let's just take one of those fall away 20-footers or 3-pointers. If he's doing that at the beginning of the game, make other plans for Sunday. It's Memorial Day weekend. You might still get a hotel somewhere. Maybe.
Well said. I promised myself that I wouldn't talk too much about what happens after tonight if the Heat lose, but so many other people are talking about it. I do want to throw just a couple things out there for you. There's already a lot of talk on Heat Twitter about how they need to blow it up for next year. So it's how much do you really think about quote unquote blowing it up versus just hope you're a little bit luckier with injuries at the right times next year? And then the other thing that has everybody talking is the Joel Embiid tweet, from Game 5 about how Miami need another superstar. So there's nothing there.
I mean, does he want to play with Jimmy again? Sure. But I mean, is Philadelphia trading Joel Embiid? What are we talking about?
Good point.
And this is the whole thing about, Heat fans, they want to blow it up. I mean, somebody's got to take your shrapnel. This is the whole thing. I mean, it's always this one-sided situation. We want to blow it up. I mean, let's look at this objectively, okay? You can make a comparison. Everything I do is comparing to previous Heat regimes. You know why? Or Heat situations. You know why? Because the same people are in charge. Okay. So go back to I don't do this with the Dolphins because there's been 85 people involved. And so I don't know what the hell they're going to do this time. Right. Except Chris Greer. He's always there. But let's go to let's just evaluate it. You can make a comparison to 2005. Okay. Where they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And they were done in by Dwayne Wade's ribcage muscle.
That's right.
In game 5, he missed game 6. They lost by 40. They gave Eddie Jones a chance in that. I was at that game in Detroit. That's miserable. Try being in Detroit for one of those.
I remember watching that game from Shula's Steak 2, like while I was eating like a churrasco sandwich and just being miserable. Like,
yeah,
I was just like,
well, at least the food was good. I was in Auburn Hills, Michigan, so I mean, I think you were better off than me. And I remember exactly where I was. And we were all like, can Eddie lead them across the finish line? The answer was no. Okay. And then, of course, they came back in game 7, and Dwayne was still hurt, but Stan fed him in the fourth quarter. Shaq got pissed off. And in the offseason, they made a significant change. And the significant change was they traded Eddie Jones. Okay. Yeah. And they brought in, it was a 5-for-5 trade. It was the biggest trade in NBA history at the time. For those who like transactions, you imagine that would have broken Twitter. This was 4 years before Twitter. Antoine Walker, Jason Williams, Gary Payton, James Posey all ended up coming in. I famously said I didn't like the trades. George Sedano's never let me forget it. Pat Riley has never let me forget it.
I loved that trade because I'm a big star chaser. Like I was so pumped, especially Gary Payton, especially like to have, even though he was 100 years old. I'm like, Gary
he was
Payton
done, but no, I get it, but I was kind of tight with Eddie. I think I had personal feelings involved in it.
That could
but I understood it as it went on. And the funny thing about that was when they advanced to the finals, I was sitting in the front row at the interview room, and Pat, before he started, looked down and said, "Ethan, you're here. We're not supposed to be here." Because I had said they wouldn't go to the finals. So that's how he started his presser. I've always remembered that. That's 16 years later. I think Pat probably still remembers. But the point is, there is a comparison to 2005, I think, that they could try to reframe things around their stars, which is what they did that time. They had Shaq and Wade, and they kind of tried to reconfigure it. But you're not but again, with the salary cap the way it is, who are you trading that's going to make this? I mean, they're not trading Bam. Let's just stop. Okay. They're not trading. They're not trading. I understand the concerns and the aggressiveness. Trust me, we've led a lot of that on our podcast. Okay. They're not trading Bam. Okay. He's a transcendent defensive player. He really is. And he's 23 years old. They're not trading Bam. Jimmy, I mean, you can't trade Jimmy. First thing, Jimmy's the guy who got you here. Okay. And also, Jimmy is the guy who saved the franchise. Like, go back a couple of years when people were buying Hassan Whiteside and Josh Richardson jerseys. If Jimmy Butler doesn't decide to come to this franchise, they don't get back off the mat. Pat has essentially acknowledged that. Okay, so you're not trading Jimmy unless literally Jimmy asks out, and he's not going to do that. Plus, yes, Welsh is a good point. Bam is beloved around the league. He is the attraction. Okay, so no. Okay, Jimmy's not the attraction for other players. Trust me. Bam is. Okay, so you're not trading either. And I'm just going to say this respectfully. Who the F wants Kyle Lowry's contract right now? Like,
nobody, man. You have to trade him to like the Israeli league or something. Like, you'd have to trade him to trade him to China.
I mean, you're not. I mean, I respect Kyle, and I liked the signing, but I mean, look, the returns on this are not going to end up being great. They're just not. Okay, and this was kind of inevitable. Now, whether our guy Greg Sylvander's made the point that the Heat will get him in the offseason conditioning program.
Can we trade Kyle Lowry to France and bring Norris Cole back?
Well, Norris is already back. I bet you Norris would sign for the minimum. Trust me, I pay him the minimum for the network. So yeah, he'd take it. But look. But by the way, get energy cubes. That helps Norris out. Energy cubes.
We got to get the whole team some energy cubes tonight. We got to get Kyle Lowry some energy cubes.
I would agree. I think I would have wrote that. But that's my thing is like, so really, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Herro and Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason that somebody takes Robinson is to get Herro.
Yeah, true.
That's the thing. So, who can you get for a package of Herro and Robinson? Are you like, okay, are you ready to give up on Tyler Herro to get Bam some help up front with a guy like Jeremy Grant?
I don't think I am.
These are the kind of conversations we're gonna have.
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell, I mean, first thing, he's got to want out, which he might. The second thing is they've got to decide that they're building around Rudy Gobert. Okay. Because the thing about Utah is that you're not getting free agents to go there. So
No.
it's like you either have to, so you can't, and you don't want to wait and strip the whole thing down. So it's like you're going to try to remain competitive in a trade. Okay, is getting Tyler Herro back for Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson enough to keep you going? I mean, unless maybe. I mean, if you're tired of, and look, Donovan Mitchell, I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan, but he has some holes. I mean, first thing, I mean, he's had trouble getting along with the other best player on his team, which is not ideal. But also, he doesn't defend worth anything anymore. I mean, he did when he came in the league. So did Bradley Beal. Neither of them do. Is Bradley Beal going to finally ask out? Is that what we're counting on? Is Dame Lillard going to finally see?
I've been waiting for Bradley Beal to ask out for like 2 years.
I mean, the league's going to fold before Bradley Beal asks out. So what are we talking about? We're talking about reshuffling around Jimmy and Bam. Now, the one argument that's been made that I agree with is that Jimmy and Bam are not ideal as your two stars because offensively, because neither of them is a range shooter, and I get that, but that's where Tyler has to take that step. And Tyler's not just the injuries, Tyler's regression in the playoffs when he's seen different types of coverages is problematic, and that will have to be the next step in his development. So could he be traded? Yes, absolutely. Could Duncan be traded? Yes, that's clear. But Heat fans waiting for this major, I don't think it's coming. I mean, Bam and Jimmy will be here next year. And you know what? So will Kyle.
Yeah.
It's the last year of the contract for Kyle that's movable because it'll be an expiring. But like, what do? You train Lowry for Westbrook? I mean, I'm not signing off on that. So I don't really know. Again, Heat fans want to move to transaction season. I get it. We'll do it. But like
I'm not ready for that until tomorrow, and I'm glad we got into it. Like that was an excellent breakdown. I'm just saying, like, my attitude is not there yet. I may be there tomorrow. I may be there Monday. I may not be there for a couple weeks if we get to the finals. But yeah, that's one of the best damn breakdowns you'll hear.
Okay, if Boston goes to the finals, okay, which everybody has already assumed at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, they kept their core. I mean, in fact, and they struggled even for the first 2 out of the season. I mean, they kept Tatum and Brown. They kept Tatum, Brown, and Smart. Okay, what did they do? They dumped Kemba Walker, who the Heat basically targeted 2 years ago, and they decided to not go with a traditional point guard. And they brought Al Horford back out of mothballs, and he's been terrific.
Yeah, he has.
And then they've gotten some development from guys like Robert Williams and Grant Williams. And that's pretty much it. Like, they didn't do a major overhaul. Brad Stevens went upstairs. He knew his team. He handed it to Udoka. Probably should have been a head coach 5-6 years ago. His name he's been interviewing for jobs forever. And they bought into defense. And Tatum and Brown got, incrementally better. That's it. So can Bam and Tyler get incrementally better? Probably. And so and then you tweak it. But I don't think nobody before the season was saying, oh, they got Al Horford back.
Right. Like championship.
Right. And now
here we go.
Right. I mean, they made a couple moves around their core. Middleton had injuries. The Nets were dysfunctional. Philadelphia is a bleep show. And Embiid got hurt at the worst time. And the Heat are a try-hard team that may have maximized themselves for this year. And so with all of that going on, Boston may go to the finals. But they didn't trade Tatum to get Durant. I mean, this thing about like Heat fans like wanting to. That's not how it typically works, and those teams don't end up usually very good.
All right, so I got to ask you one more thing before we let you run. You're clearly not in Boston, so that's probably good news for the Miami Heat tonight, if there is any good news to be had. We already talked about the narratives, the betting odds. Also, Boston heavy favorites at home tonight, 8.5-point favorites tonight. So how do you think this plays out this evening, Ethan? I mean, am I at least gonna be, eyes glued to the TV till the very end? Am I gonna be able to turn it off in the third quarter because things aren't going well? How do you expect this to go?
I don't think the score matters early as much as the way Jimmy looks. I'm more watching the first 5 minutes to see how Jimmy looks. And if Tyler plays remember those shots. I mean, he's taking the injection before the game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The
And he's
NBA
not
does
allowed to
not,
take it again, right? You were
he's
about to
not
say,
allowed
yeah.
to take a numbing
Yeah.
injection during the game. So how long that lasts for and how long he's able to play in pain, we'll see. Heat fans could get head faked a little bit. If you remember that 14 game I'm referencing against the Spurs, I sat through that one. Game 5, Miami had a big lead early in that game and then never scored again. And that could happen. I mean, it's just, I think a bad start buries Miami. Unfortunately, I don't think a good start necessarily means a win. I just
agree.
think
They could just run. They could run out of gas in the second
just
half.
run out of gas. It's just get, as much, but what you're hoping for tonight is that it's not the 2020 finale against the Lakers. Where, the game is 35 and you've got Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy talking about the Netflix shows that they watch. That is not an appropriate end to this Heat season. So I'm hoping that they're competitive. If they lose a close game because Jimmy Butler, takes a step back 3, yes, fans will be irritated about it, but at least we'll know that they stayed to character and that they played hard. And look, that first half that they played against the Celtics the other day was good enough. Okay. As poorly as they were shooting, they were holding Tatum and Brown down. They gave up 37 points. Look, these injured guys, it's hard to play defense too, but they did it. Okay. So it's more than just the injuries. It's the confidence in the shots right now. And there were a lot of those shots, people talking about the threes, but even Bam and Jimmy had shots that swirled in and out. They just did not catch a break. And that is frustrating. It is frustrating. And it starts to bleed into other things. And also when you're kicking the ball back, to, Max Strus and Kyle Lowry, and they're 0 for 38 from 3.
Yeah. A lot of open looks missed too.
A lot. There were 27 open threes missed.
That many, huh? Wow.
Open. I mean, normally the Heat players will hit between 12 and very open threes, 12 to 14 of those. That's 36 points. It's 36 points. I mean, you win that game by 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, that's the thing. If the shooting would normalize, but I'm not, after this isn't 1 or 2 games. This is the entire postseason that the best 3-point shooting team in the league by percentage has been bottom 4 in the league in 3-point shooting. So I'm not going to predict a normalization of that at this point. I'm just going to say if Jimmy Butler is feeling good enough to be aggressive and he can take some of these guys with him, I think that'll be a major motivator. They hit a couple threes early. I do not. Herro is a game time decision, but he is trying to play. That's what we've been told.
Yeah, I'm expecting him to play.
We're anticipating he's going to play, but again, I don't know what he's going to play like. You throw guys back into this situation, and a groin injury, man. It's not a joke. I mean, you talk about Tyler. His game is movement. It's getting into the open spaces on the defense. He puts a lot of torque. There's a lot of torque on his body in general. He's a bad shot maker. Okay, his feet are not always set. I don't. If he wasn't playing well when he was healthy in the playoffs, I'm not going over on Prize Picks tonight. Use the code 5 FIVE.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, and that's why Ethan is a pro, because Prize Picks, of course, is the daily fantasy sports provider here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We'll talk a little bit more about that after you hop off. So Ethan, cannot thank you enough for taking the time, my friend. I was going to tell you to enjoy the game tonight. That obviously depends on how things go. I hope we both enjoy the game tonight.
I mean, I'm open for Sunday. We'll see.
Well, by the way, let the people know the schedule for tonight, because the coverage, if anything, if this is the last time we see the Heat this season, the coverage is going to be damn good on 5 Reasons.
Yeah, it will be. If the post-up guys decide to go on after they lose, we'll see. I got Before Floor on this channel at 7:30. We will do Pace of Space at halftime with Tony and Marco and Sean. That's on Twitter. 5 on the Floor will be after the game. I will host with Greg and likely Alex tonight, maybe Brady. And then also we've got, of course, Post Up 5 Hour with Royal and the rest of the guys from the basement. They'll be on as soon as the game ends. So we'll check it out. We'll see what happens here. And look, if they win, Sunday will be, game 7s, win or lose, you always remember them. I'm just saying, I just hope that they get to the first timeout, not down 20-6 tonight.
Yeah.
give themselves a chance. That's it. Just give themselves a chance. This has been a really resilient group the whole year, and they deserve the right send off. If it doesn't work out, I just want to see a competitive game tonight. That's all. Just fight. Just fight. Leave it all out there, and then you see what happens on Sunday in your building. Okay, you check it out. You throw up more messages on the board for Marco Rubio to get pissed about. Like you let it roll on Sunday. That's it.
I love it. Ethan, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you much.
Ethan J. Skolnick. It was funny. I don't know who was it in here that called Ronnie called Ethan a Heat hater. I don't know where you got that from, Ronnie. I love you, Ronnie. I don't know where you got that from. And then Faith and Money writes in, "Oh, you consider anyone who doesn't agree with you a fake fan?" Somebody else, hold on. There was another message I want to pull up here from Randy. Randy says, "Ethan, a Heat hater. Heat doing well helps his business. How does he hate the Heat?" You're right about that, man. And listen, I don't talk so much. I talk with Ethan all the time, but I don't talk with Ethan that much about the ins and outs about how all the viewership channel wide and the listenership. I don't usually break down the nuts and bolts with him very often, but I could just tell you from doing this show, for example, the least watched episode that I've had in several weeks, if not months, was the episode we did the day after Game 5, which was a disaster. Because, yeah, I mean, this is a place where, we get a few people who aren't Heat fans in here who just want to watch for whatever reason. But the majority, when we're talking Heat on Donno Daily, the majority of you in here are Heat fans. You want to talk about your team. You either want to peddle hope the way some of us are trying to peddle hope for tonight, or if nothing else, it's been, almost 48 hours since Game 5. So you've kind of put it behind you. You're looking forward to Game 6. But the show that we did right after Game 5, I guess was that yesterday's episode? I don't even know anymore. The days just start to run together. It was one of the lowest viewerships that we've had in weeks. And I see that trend. When we do a show after a soul-crushing loss, right? Whether it's a show where I'm talking Dolphins, or a show where I'm talking Heat, or a show where I'm talking Miami Hurricanes, after a soul-crushing loss, fans of those teams, they don't want to relive the negativity. Some of you do. Thank you. A lot of you don't. A lot of you say, hey, I'm going to do some gardening today, and wash my hair today, anything but talk about that loss last night. So, yeah, man. And listen, the more viewers we get, the more likes we get on these videos. And by the way, if you're here right now, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. The more subscribers you get, the more revenue you get from YouTube and all the podcasts. So yeah, we're in the business of preferring wins, right? I know that a lot of people think that, hey, the talking heads, the people who create content, they prefer negativity, right? Because negativity, they bask in it, and listen, man, I do shows rain or shine. So yeah, if there's nothing to talk about but negativity, that's what we have to talk about. But I much prefer positivity. And I know more people watch and listen when there's positivity. So that's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure Ethan feels the same way about that. I may have to do this for the mush factor. Donno, make one hell of a bet on the Celtics tonight. Whatever's left in my account at betus.com, I am emptying that account on the Boston Celtics money line to hopefully, and that, bro, I'm going to get terrible value on that money line because they're 8.5-point favorites on the spread. They're probably minus 450 on the money. It's going to be a terrible return on that. But I do what I have to do to try to create the mush. But listen, in all seriousness, if you actually want to bet on games, have a great time, win money, betus.com. It's an awesome place to go. It's America's favorite sports book. It's a full-service online sports book, fully available in Florida. You can bet on all the playoff games, including Game 6 tonight. When you sign up at betus.com, make sure you use our code when you make your deposit, because if you use our code 5RSN125, that's 5RSN125, they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. They're going to more than double your money. It's a great, great deal. Take advantage of it. Bet the spreads, bet the money lines, player props, over-unders, parlays, live betting on all of it, by the way. You don't just have to place the bets before the games start. You can bet during the games because the dynamic live odds are always changing and updating. It's really fun. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. And make sure you support. I mentioned Prize Picks already. Prize Picks is a ton of fun. The mobile app is super easy. Prize Picks mobile app, Apple, Android store, wherever you get your apps. The website is easy as well if you use your computer, prizepicks.com. It's daily fantasy simplified. It's you versus the numbers at Prize Picks. At Prize Picks, you simply select 2, 3, or 4 players, and you predict if they're going to go over or under their fantasy projections. And honestly, guys, I do this all the time. I make 3, 4 selections. It takes me, if you know what you're doing anyway, it takes you less than 60 seconds to make these selections, and you lock them in and you win real money at Prize Picks. It's a lot of fun. Sign up with our code 5. That's FIVE. Spell it out, and they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. You can literally double your deposit at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app. Like Ethan mentioned, this may be not the game when you bet the Jimmy Butler overs, right? You might consider leave Jimmy off your selection or maybe take the Jimmy under. And, even if the Heat don't do well, you might do well and win some money at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app. Use our code FIVE. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. Yeah, Ronnie, people have lost their minds. People out there literally saying trade Jimmy. I don't necessarily think it's just a Heat fan thing. Like, I know people will say, "Oh, Heat fans are so ridiculous." A lot of fan bases, I'm sure, do this, especially when you're fans of a team like the Heat that has a certain standard of, competing for championships, if not winning championships. A lot of people on Heat Twitter don't have a lot of patience, right? So it's like, "Oh, trade Jimmy, trade Bam, trade everybody." Let's at least wait until the Eastern Conference Finals run is officially over, right? Because maybe they will pull off a miracle tonight. So thank you so much, Ronnie, for tuning in. Thank you, Frank, for tuning in. That is crazy, Frank. You're 100% right about that. Thank you, Canes 1989. And I noticed Canes here is probably the most optimistic person or among the most optimistic people I've seen in the chat today, because I keep seeing him say repeatedly that the Heat are going to win tonight. They're going to win Game 7. Thank you. Thank you for believing. All right. See, David, this is a South Florida sports fan right here. What is patience? He knows. He knows patience is not a thing. Listen, guys, I do a daily Miami Hurricanes podcast, Locked On Canes. You can subscribe to that on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We had a fun episode today. I do a daily Miami Hurricanes football podcast. I've been a Hurricanes football fan my entire life. I was born in the early 80s when they were winning titles for fun. Canes fans don't have patience either, right? Team hasn't won anything in 20 years, and some of us still act like it's 2001. It just comes with the territory. You get spoiled. It's hard to unlearn that. It's hard to unlearn how to be spoiled. Harris, thank you so much for tuning in. Alan, I appreciate you. Prince, thank you for tuning in. Who would actually pick up Duncan? Yeah, he would have to be an add-on. It would have to be, hey, you want Tyler Herro? The only way we trade you Tyler Herro is you have to take his wingman as well. You have to take Duncan Robinson, right? Yeah, sometimes you have to take one for the team. You know what I mean? That'd be the only way. He'd have to be a package deal. Alex T, thank you so much. Person with foreign characters whose name I cannot read, thank you for tuning in. Is that what language is that? Is that a I don't even know if those are letters or if those are just symbols you compiled. I don't know what alphabet that is, but welcome in. Alan, thank you so much for tuning in. I think I already shouted out Ronnie. Ronnie, you get a double shout out because I accidentally hit your name a second time. Congratulations. Double shout out. That's big. You don't see too many of those. John Kennedy, thank you so much. Heat got to go back to culture. They got to go back to urgent care is where they need treatment. I don't think what's happening right now has very much to do with culture. I just think, unfortunately, the culture is they are the walking wounded right now. Let's see. LaMonica, thank you so much for tuning in. Taki Boy, thank you. A chance is all we can ask for. And the immortal words of Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling me there's a chance. That's what we're looking for. It's all we're looking for. Be Smoky, thank you so much for tuning in. Tiff, thank you for watching today. We appreciate you. Let's see. Let me shout out a few more. The chat was buzzing today. I appreciate you guys for coming in strong. Welch, I always love Welch. And I noticed I always see like Welch must be a huge basketball fan, not as big of like a football fan, because I like whenever we're talking hoops, which we've been doing a lot of in recent episodes, because Dolphins aren't playing football right now. The Heat are playing basketball right now, at least for one more night they are. And it's like every time we talk basketball, it's like the Welch signal goes out and he's in the chat. So I love it. Apparently we got to talk basketball to make Welch happy. Low T. I hope that doesn't mean your testosterone is low. Go get some of those injections that the people are getting. I'm almost getting old enough where I'm going to need those, I think. I'm 37 years old. I still got high T. Still got high. Actually, I don't know if I do. I've never had my testosterone levels checked, but I feel like I have high T, right? Eventually, I might have to get those injections. Marcus, thank you so much. Danny, thank you for watching today. I know I'm saying a lot. It's because I'm scrolling up and trying to find people that I have not yet shouted out. I'm definitely going to skip some people today because there's a lot. I apologize. Chicos, thank you for watching today. I'm going to shout out two more, and then I'm drawing the line. Because if I shout out everybody, we're going to be here all day. I got things to do. Folks. VLKV, one of my favorites. Thank you so much for watching today. Pet Killmonger. Jay Bala, thank you. Ian from Brooklyn. I love how I just said I would shout out two more, and I've shouted out like five more since then. Ooh, super chats as well today. Thank you so much, BB, for the super chat. And Shake Money, I think, gave us a huge pair of super chats today. Shake, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Brooklyn Rob is in. Thank you, Brooklyn Rob. I'm sorry that I mushed the Heat and I mushed the Panthers. I apologize. Ruben, thank you for coming in. Big Dan 305. And hold on. Now I'm scrolling all the way back to present day to see if anyone else snuck in. All right, I think I got everybody, just about everybody. Thank you so much. I love has anyone told me what alphabet this is yet and what that means in your language? All right. We will talk to you guys again Monday. Oh, is it Friday already? Woo, thank goodness it's Friday. We will talk to you guys Monday on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.